Namo Namaha. Susayam Priyamitrani. Sarvam Kushalam Kim. So it's a great pleasure to be back with you again on this live session. And I was wanting to do this with you because of the uncertainty regarding the exams, and also the fact that there's been a long gap since you've done your last assignments. We've tried to keep the forum going. We've shared some material with you. So I hope that you have been also actively participating in that. I would also like to say that if anybody still has any questions on the forum, please feel free to connect with us. And we have our TAs, Piyush and Dolon and all, who are very active there, and they will reply to you, and I would also participate as and when required. So with these words, namaste, and take it, because as you're aware, the eligibility, the good news is that that is not the case. People, even those who have not done the basics, can definitely join the course if they have a little bit of background. But even so, I would like to inform all of you that supposing there is somebody on the session today who hasn't done the basic level, the good news is that all these courses are there for free on YouTube. So you can go through these. We have sufficient time till August to go through these 4 weeks of courses, and you can prepare yourselves, even if you haven't really written this, you haven't enrolled yourself for the course, but the content is available, and that is more than enough to feel confident about pursuing the next level of the course, of the learning. Astu. So here I have Deepak ji. Namaste, Deepak ji. So Deepak ji says, Namaste, Mahan Santosha to have you here. I'm not getting connection. The video is stuck at our end. Saheli ji. Astu. We'll just wait for this to get resolved. So we are having some connectivity issues. So see, for example, here you have buy books. And I also had a question about easy stories to read. So I will just wait for this to come on. And so I'll come on. In the meantime, we can I'll just have a look at what are the other chat thing that you've got here. Swarna Bhagini, Namo Namaha. Dhanyosmi, Piyush, Namaste, Ari Susayam. So Piyush is normally beside me, but today he's Katsi Corona, he's plugging in from place. So Vinodji is saying, privileged to learn India's ancient language. Thanks all of you. I want to type this in Sanskrit after a month. Avashyam. So there is a Google board, in fact, on your phones, which allows this possibility of typing in. Am is of the verb to be, then I am, you are, he is, she is, right? That is what is asti. It's the third person. Okay, so when you say he, she, it, then it will be asti. So saha asti, sa asti, tat asti, when it's at the distance. Otherwise it will be eshaha asti, esha asti, etat asti. I think I was able to communicate during the course also the fact that the words that we have chosen are a selection of the possible pronouns even to express this. So you have other words like ayam, iyam, idam, and you have a host of other pronouns that mean the same thing. So we have chosen this because they're akaranta, akaranta, and it makes it easy in the context of learning simple spoken Sanskrit. So that's why we have used those words. But so I am is when it's the first person. So aham asmi, tvam asi, bhavan or bhavati, which is the second person second person formal, will be bhavan, bhavati, asti. So the typical question when you're meeting someone would be bhavan katham asti, bhavati katham asti, and the answer aham kushali asmi, means I have kushalam with me. Okay, so that li ending is something that we are going to be, that in ending, one who possesses, that ending is something we are going to be looking at in the second level course. So you say aham kushali for a man, and a lady would say aham kushalini asmi. Or a much simpler answer could be, if somebody says katham asti, then you can answer sarvam kushalam asti. So when we say sarvam kushalam asti, then we are actually indicating that what is kushalam? Sarvam. And how is it? Kushalam asti. Okay, so sarvam kushalam asti is the easier way of conveying or answering to that question of bhavan or bhavati katham asti. Astu. Then in the third person, you have asti as he, she, is, like I mentioned, he, she, it is. Astu. So, I can see that the screen is getting stuck because of the internet issue here. Does all members here belong to Humanities background? So, Krishnananda ji is asking that question. Krishnananda ji is asking that question that whether, you know, everybody belongs to the humanities background. And the point is that no, everybody doesn't. Everybody, I mean, what is always very reassuring for me is the fact that people really belong to very different, a very diverse background of people are interested in studying this language. And that is also very reassuring. That's very heartening. So I can see that some of you are not being able to access it. I'll just make sure that, you know, I will pause when there is a certain issue so that you don't miss out on anything that is being conveyed. So, I will also in the meanwhile try to continue. Dhanyavada Krishnananda ji. So I will continue with the questions. Dhanyavada Swarna Bhagini. So here I have the next question, which is, can you recommend beginners level storybooks in Sanskrit? This is Prakash Chakoji who's asking me. So Prakash ji, like I showed you the list of Sanskrit Bharati. So the website is Sanskrit Bharati. I will just show it on the screen. So it's samskritabharati.in. So it is like Sanskrit. I will make it a little bigger for you if you are... Alright, samskritabharati.in. I guess what I'll do is I'll also share it on the chat. Here from of Sanskrit literature, because Sanskrit literature really is full of content that that gives us a lot of reassurances of life. That gives us a lot of reassurances in life. One of the most significant aspects of the literature of Sanskrit is the central role that it has given to the human being, and perspectivized, put the human being in perspective with the true potential of the individual, and also to understand how that individual can connect in the best way possible to the circumstances of life around that individual. So it is a literature. Swami Vivekananda beautifully says this. He says that of all the world's literatures, Sanskrit is that one, or the Upanishads. He talks very specifically about the Upanishads, where he says that the Upanishads are those one texts that that inspire us to being fearless. He says because they present such a lofty understanding, and by lofty, there can tend to be a misconception sometimes that it is beyond our reach. But that's why there is a need for us as Indians to, especially the Indian people, because this is a civilizational inheritance. One of the most who have these anxieties, these insecurities, but it is at these moments that it helps immensely to find an anchor in knowledge that is much deeper, that has been a time-tested knowledge to help us find roots to allow us to survive any storm. Astu. So, aham janami. Aham janami that it's getting stuck, but like I said, we'll continue, and sincerely hope that if you have the time to look through these again, please do so. Labha bhavati. But I was just wanting to reiterate once more the importance of not being content just with Sanskrit and the basic level that we have had thus far, but to want to go much deeper for oneself. I mean, at the end of the day, you will never regret it. The investment in this language is an investment that will only give you unending profits and returns all through your life, and it is never too late to start. Never too late to start. It might look daunting initially. Of course, it's not a very easy language, and what I mean by not very easy is that it requires us to become aware of quite a few forms. It's like maths. You need to know a lot of equations to do something substantial with it. But once you know the equations, you can become a master of it. And that's the promise that Sanskrit holds. That if you invest that bare minimum of time to understand the logic of its grammar, which I have tried very hard to communicate in the courses that I have done, that I have tried to share with you. So if you try and understand the logic of the grammar, and you're able to hear the logic more than understand the logic, if you can hear the logic of the grammar, then you will be able to have a lot of freedom to access this invaluable wealth that is our legacy. Astu. I will just try to, we have another 15 minutes or so. I will just make sure that I've covered all the questions that we have received. I will just go here where it says, Deepak ji have answered. Sitaraman ji, importance of pronunciation. For example, a word like ichha, the second syllable in Sanskrit will be a combination of the first two letters of palatals. While pronouncing, how will it be known to others? So, because the Sanskrit pronunciation is very precise with respect to the sthana, the prayatna, means the place of pronunciation, the quantity of breath that is being used for it. It doesn't leave any scope for ambiguity, and that's what is also again a very, very unique feature of this language, because this is something that I've been contemplating on, and there are some very interesting insights that one can gather from this, from a deeper contemplation just on the language. So, for example, the fact that you have the pronunciation being so precise. So, ichhati. So, the moment I say ichhati, that ich itself means that it is a alpa prana. So, it is a ch. Chhati, gachhati. We don't have too many uchchai. So, if I say uchchai, 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 you can literally hear that uchchai. You can make out that it's not ch. So, that alpa prana of uchchai means, which means louder or with a little more intensity. There you see it's uchchai versus gachhati. So the chati will let you know that it's a Mahaprana. Similarly, each of the sounds of the Sanskrit alphabet is very precise, and to me that is also a little bit of the yogic component of this language, because unlike in most languages where there is the freedom of the individual to express it in a very subjective manner. So I want to say a word and I would like to say it like this, like we see in English, you just have so many, the way the word rain is pronounced is like rain or rain, or you have such a wide range of possible pronunciations, which is very legitimate from the region from which it is being pronounced. I mean, there's no right and wrong about the pronunciation of English. Largely, I mean, there are of course certain rules, and one has to know what those are. So I'm not saying that you can do anything you want with it, but that there is a scope, there is a little bit of a range, there's a little bit of a free play on how you're going to express those sounds. In Sanskrit, that there are some words, some combinations that allow a vikalpa. You can either do it like this or like that. But for, I would say, 98 or 99% of the words, there really is no option, which is what is brilliant for anybody who is engaging with this language, because we are then invited to speak it as it is supposed to be. This is the right thing. It is not, I want to do this. There is no indulgence, there is no pampering of one's egoistic preferences of pronunciation. This is a language that says it is Sanskritam, it has been well done. If we can align ourselves with the correctness of the language, that will serve to ensure a samskarana within us. It will ensure that there is a rightening up of our system, that we will start feeling, we will actually experience a certain fine-tuning of our nature in order to produce the truth of these sounds. Besides the fact that, I have also mentioned it in the course, that the Sanskrit language seems to have captured the experiential quality of sounds. And because it has captured the experiential quality of sounds, there is very little scope for free play with it. So it's literally, if you imagine the universe as a realm of vibrations, okay, it's really like your internet, where you have so many possible windows, so many possible websites that you can access, but you need to, in some cases, put in the right password. If you don't put in the right password, you put in a capital A instead of a small a, or you put in a number instead of something else, it's not going to open, right? It will tell you this, sorry, it's the wrong password. So if you look at the world in terms of this internet, it's a vast web of vibrations. If you don't pronounce a sound correctly, then like I said, while there is a little bit of a free play, very little of a free play, it will not be so effective in opening up the dimensions that can potentially await our discovery. Okay, so that's why there is so much of a requirement of the precision of pronunciation, especially with the mantric sounds. But like I always put a caveat there, that at the end of the day, it is also the sound that we produce from our mouths is a sum total of the sounds of our emotions, it's a sound of our thoughts, and it's a sound of the very way we are pronouncing it. So if the words are perfect, but the thought is not pure, or the emotions are not pure, you can say it 100 times and the door will still not open, because that key is a very complex key. Whereas if the heart is pure and the mind is pure, then you can even say abracadabra and you will have that experience. All right. So it's important to also put in perspective this, rigidity about the correctness of the sound. When I speak about it, it is really an invitation to all of us who are engaging with Sanskrit Sanskrit and what it offers the mind, it really is this. It really is this fact that the mind has to be very alert. There is no scope at all for the mind to be complacent. No scope at all. And when we want to relate it to the brain, it is very interesting. It's the particular tag or label, almost as erroneous, that English, just because the Bible is there in English, the English language is a religious language. So that's the great error. I mean, I was told that there is something like at least